5 death row prisoners escaped to taste defeat in Japan's most notorious arena. Only a true fighter would know what defeat tastes like. However, in the case of these overpowered convicts, defeat is never knocked on their doors. They now make their way to battle Japan's most strongest and feared fighters that could ever grace the notorious arena. Baki, considered a deadly explosive that has never been encountered before, walks with an iron fist all around his school, where not even delinquents can come near him. Underground martial arts promoter Tokugawa visits champion Baki's school to warn him that 5 violent death row convicts have escaped their stronghold prisons and are all heading for Tokyo. With no past relations to each other and having the same request of a deep desire to taste defeat, they break through the maximum security prison to make their way to Tokyo. While Tokugawa warns Baki of the imminent danger he could be in, the death row convicts move around Tokyo in search of him. Hector Doyle, one of those convicts, cuts open the kickboxer Rob Robinson with the wires and pipes attached inside his body. Meanwhile, delinquents of Baki's school hire 3 fighters to beat up Baki, but they are no match to the aura that he emits, and they back off. That is when he gets a surprise visit from Speck, an American convict who has come to gauge his strength. After a display of his strength, the police arrive to arrest Speck, who shakes Baki's hand and happily goes with him. Yuujiro Hama, father of Baki, and the world's strongest creature alive, watches the news, knowing fully well that nobody will understand the real reason the convicts escaped prison and came to Japan. Kyo Dorian, the first convict to escape, visits Shinshikai Dojo looking for Master Dopo Orochi. Dorian visits the Shinshikai Dojo in search of Master Dopo Orochi. When challenged by Katsumi Orochi, one of Dopo's disciples, Dorian uses multiple quick moves to deliver a beatdown before disappearing. Meanwhile, Baki takes the fitness test at school and vows to set a new world record in the 1500-meter race. Easily setting a world record in the 400 to 800 meter, he loses composure on reaching 1000 meter, mainly because he was never fit for running. Despite all that, Baki still passes the fitness test. Sikorsky pays a visit to Tokugawa, who takes him to his renowned arena. The rest of the prisoners are there beforehand, standing tall and intimidating. Always late, but worth the wait, Baki enters the arena along with Dopo and the rest of the fighters. Time, anytime. Place, anywhere. Opponent, anyone. Rules, none. These are the terms the fighters settle on, with Tokugawa officially declaring the beginning of the battle. Master Dopo follows Dorian out of the arena, selecting him as his opponent, landing a back heel kick onto Dorian's smirky face, sending him face first on the ground. But Dorian has his own set of dirty tricks up his sleeves. By using a thin titanium wire, he slices off Dopo's hand. However, that doesn't stop Dopo from punching his face with the same sliced off arm before disappearing. Baki spends his time with his girlfriend, Kozu Matsumoto, who knows he is a fighter. While Baki enjoys his time with Kozu, little do they know that they are being followed by Speck. Baki swoops in to kiss Kozu, making her oblivious to the fact that Speck is standing right behind them. Ready to pounce on the 2 lovebirds, Speck gets paralyzed by the death stare Baki gives him while kissing Kozu. Resisting the stare, he tries to land a punch but gets taken away by Kou Hanayama. Speck lands fierce punches and kicks on Koru, causing him to have a nosebleed. Koru soaks up the barricade of punches, even the deadly Apana rush that leaves his opponent as a corpse at the end. Koru waits for an opening between the punches before smashing Speck's face with his iron fist. 4 hits later, Speck begs him to stop before stuffing his face with bullets that explode at once. With his face exploded, revealing the inner cavity of his mouth, Koru finds it difficult to comprehend what had just happened. Taking advantage of the situation, Speck attempts another hit, but gets pulled by the end of his shirt and punched full force on the face by Koru, sending him flying into a pole, electrocuting him. Dragging his pathetic body, Koru disposes him off to the police station and sits in Chief's care to be taken for medical attention. 3 minutes don't even pass by when Speck regains consciousness and uses the dirtiest trick in the book by shooting Koru's kneecaps with bullets, making him lose momentum. Unable to counter back, Speck goes in for the kill by snapping his neck, but all that doesn't stop the strongest Yakuza in Japan. Overpowering Speck by breaking his arm and ripping the flesh off his thigh, Koru crushes his throat with his fierce grip, making Speck taste defeat. Later that day, Baki gets a visit by Hector Doyle at his school. Fighting in class against Hector would not only reveal his identity, but could critically damage other students as well. So Baki jumps out of the school window and runs into the alley where he encounters Ryugo Yanki, who uses sharp blades to try and cut Baki. Their short playtime gets interrupted by the appearance of Goki Shibukawa, who tag teams with Baki to fight Yanji. The deadly duo makes Yanji look like a rat between two hungry cats, avoiding their attacks using multiple defense mechanisms to ward them off. Yanji stands his ground and uses his special technique, the Way of the Void, which creates a poison between the palm of his hand that leaves his opponent unconscious. He uses his technique on Baki, sending him to Sleep Town, but disappears on hearing the police sirens. Baki, along with the others, meet at Tokugawa's place, where he highlights his disappointment in Baki's defeat with a simple trick. Dorian pays a visit to their meeting with a bucket full of gasoline, planning to burn them all alive. A room filled with grandmasters seems like a suicide mission, but alas, what do these foreigners know? The bucket of gasoline gets kicked onto Dorian by Katsumi, who is defeated by him at Doppo's dojo, and this time he didn't hold back his punches and proceeds to throw a fire on the gasoline-drenched Dorian, burning him. Dorian umbrellas his real technique and plays the game of a weakling as he gets tossed around by Katsumi and his master Kiyosumi Kato, who cuts off Dorian's ear with a fishing wire. Dorian escapes the suicide mission and into his hideout in the sewage, but Kiyosumi follows, out for blood. However, he didn't anticipate the fact that playing weak was Dorian's game, and now they are alone. It was feeding time for Dorian. You know what they say, never go into the lion's den. Dorian mixes grease and broken glass shards on his hands to fight Kato. Using his karate techniques to overpower Dorian, who not in the least is affected by them, sends numerous deadly punches to Kato's face, cutting him up. And not just that, Dorian uses hypnosis to make Kato assume he has the upper hand and is winning. But when the effects dies, Kato realizes he hasn't even laid a hand on the monstrous beast. Dorian ends the duel by slicing Kato's neck with his titanium strings. The Shinshikai clan is furious over finding Kato's body and assemble for revenge by taking him to a secluded amusement park. Dorian enters the amusement park and enjoys some of the rides before being attacked by Kato's peer, Sudo. The two go head-to-head with each other, but alas, Dorian, a master of cheap tricks, jumps onto a roller coaster, making Sudo follow him. The two duel in the air, but Dorian jumps on Sudo, making him fall down with him. Dorian uses his titanium strings, saving him from a direct impact with the ground, but Sudo isn't that fortunate, killing him on the spot. Katsumi, Doppo, and Retsu watch the scene. Retsu recognizes Dorian as the greatest Kaiou and says it's an honor to meet him. Retsu backs off since he can't fight a student from the same teacher. Doppo takes the reins to avenge his cut-off left hand that Dorian had committed. The Tiger Slayer unleashes his ultimate powers against Dorian, going as far as breaking the cast on his left hand, revealing the cut-off hand that wasn't there before. Not falling for Dorian's cheap tricks of crying and fake pleads of mercy, nor for his hypnosis, Doppo shows him why he has been dubbed the God of War. Using his years of fighting skills and battle experience, nothing can stop him from defeating Dorian. Happy and grateful that maybe Doppo can fulfill his years-long desire to taste defeat, Dorian fights with a smile. Legs, ribs, and right arm broken, Doppo sends Dorian through a wall of pain, but doesn't land the finishing blow. Instead, he calls Kato from the hospital to do it for him. Kato, still on a stretcher, hails all the power he has to land the final blow, but stops in the tracks when Dorian starts crying like a child and admits defeat. However, Dorian is not one to play fairly as he escapes the hospital and makes way to Doppo's home, where he catches him by surprise, and with his one good hand sealed with an explosive, bursts Doppo's face. Retsu catches him and makes him realize he hasn't won anything in his life, which actually gets to his head, turning him mental. All while Baki, still oblivious to everything except for his girlfriend, ends up letting her get kidnapped by Sikorsky. And that's a wrap. 5 convicts on death row escape their prisons to reach Japan to taste defeat for the first time. They go up against the top fighters of Japan, amongst which Baki Hama also stands. One by one, they fight till death in an arena with no location, no rules, and no time limit. Death couldn't have tasted better for these men.